There's some fish. There's one. There you go. First smallmouth of the fall. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, dude. Calm down. Super short and fat. That is sweet. First one of the fall on the crankbait. What there is out here is a little rock patch with a bunch of sand around it, and I think that fish bit it like 3 or 4 times. You could feel him going tut 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 tut. So that's cool. There's one. That might be a better one. Wow. I think it's really big. Oh my God. Oh, how big is that one? Oh, how big is that fish? How big is that fish? Oh my goodness. Is that a 6-pounder? How big is that one? Zeros. Six-pounder. 6.15 pounds. 6.15. Wow. What a beautiful fish. He's petting up crawdads. We're not going to keep this fish very long. He's really gross looking. Just want to get some pictures with him real quick. Okay, dudes. 6.15 pounds, just over 6 pounds on a crankbait. But the reason I'm not keeping him in the live well very long is I think he has some sort of disease. It's not good, and you just don't want to keep a fish this caliber. So just over 6 pounds, cranking. See if there aren't more like that in that group right there. Thanks, buddy. Oh man, that felt so good. I caught a drum earlier, and when I caught that drum, it was spitting up like little pieces of crawdad shell. So I switched from a white crankbait to this like off red color, and I think these fish are actually keying in on crawfish. And I can go into that a little bit more detail later in the day, but I don't know if that made a difference. That was a big bite. It's my biggest of the year. 6.15. That is a giant. To catch a cranking is so much fun. That's cast with a crankbait, then I'm going to throw in there with a tube or something. I think I made a mistake of slowing down to do all those pictures. I think I made a mistake of slowing down with that. There's one. That feels like another really big one. Probably another 4-pounder. Thanks, buddy. Man, look how fat and short that fish is. He just barely got that thing. I think that's what's happening with a lot of these fish, is they're just like barely, not fully ready to commit to it. But I mean, that fish is as wide as he is long. Thanks, buddy. I was just about, I said one more cast with that crankbait, just about to put that thing down. I talked about that drum eating crayfish, but that big 6-pounder had crayfish coming out of it too. There's got to be a big crayfish hatch going on, or they're feeding on those craws really hard. Next bait I'm going to pick up is a tube, or I'm going to pick up that football jig, but I want to drag something through there. Because we're eating this crankbait, but you know there's some big fish down there that would eat it too, especially if they're feeding on crawfish. Okay, let's see if we can catch one more on this crankbait. Last cast with this thing. One more. There's one. That's another good one. Oh, thanks, buddy. Whew. That's another really nice one. Ah, tube fish. Another 3 3/4 4-pounder. Thanks, buddy. So what there is out here, there's sand. So what there is out here is there's a hard rock line, then there's sand with some boulders mixed in. And these fish, I think, are feeding on crawfish in those big boulders. They're in that little sand patch where all those crawfish are hanging out and molting, and that's why there's so many fish in this little group. I've not moved the boat since I caught that first one on the crankbait, and then I caught the 615 and 2 others. So there's a bunch of fish here. It's just a matter of getting them to bite. They're not super dumb. There's not a million of them, but there's enough fish here roaming around where you could put together a really big bag of fish. You saw me there bump the boulder, and yeah. Whoa! That one bit it under my feet. Whoop, it came off. Whew! He bit it like right at my feet. That's crazy. Maybe there's a pod there. That wind kind of shut off a little bit and changed directions. It's pretty much not blowing. It's very, very light. But I think it's giving these fish a little bit of pause. I don't know what it is, but there's something about that wind current out here that really sets fish up and makes them bite. Now, I've tried slowing down. I had a couple bites on that tube. I switched it up a little bit and just put on a normal snack craw. I just couldn't kind of keep that school going, even though I can see them swimming down on the bottom. So I moved areas a little bit. I'm up here a lot shallower at about 4 to 5 foot, just shallow cranking. And I caught a largemouth, and then that one probably 3.5 pound smallmouth that just bit it at my feet. It's not hot and heavy yet. There was that one flurry early, but other than that, it's been kind of just one here, one there. And I don't know if that's because they're still setting up or because I'm throwing the wrong bait, but I'm just kind of moving, covering a lot of water, trying to figure out where maybe some more pods of fish might be. There's one. A little smallmouth. There's a ton of little bait right here. I don't know what it is, just tiny bait. But I'm up on the flat. I'm in 5 foot of water, 4 foot of water, and essentially just bringing this little swim bait back up that break. And that fish bit it. So I don't know what those small bait were. Little shiners, tiny minnows. But I think that's what some of these fish are keying in on. There's one. That's a nice one. Now a little swim bait. There we go. Slow flow doing the work. I wasn't sure with how off-colored this water was if they'd eat it or not. He had no problem. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, dude. Like I mentioned, I'm not fishing super deep, so I have a little 285 slow flow on 1/8 ounce stealth ball head, and just not crawling it on bottom, but slowly retrieving it. That was sweet. Part of me wonders if I throw a little sneaky on there, if it doesn't work better than this just straight swim bait. I didn't think it'd be clean, but it's a little bit more off colored than I think I expected it to be. Maybe I'll throw that little super fly. See if they go get that thing.